and really show who they are.
This is the U.S. Bank Cougar Coaches Show on the Washington State Sports Network from Learfield. U.S. Bank. Life keeps moving. We're here for every step. U.S. Bank. Member FDIC. Tonight's show is also brought to you by Zeppoz, the home for the Cougar Coaches Show, where the Palouse comes to play and eat. Now, live from Zeppoz, alongside Cougar head coach Jake Dickert, here's the voice of the Cougs, Matt Chazanow.
We are back. It's that time of the week. We're talking ball at Zeppoz as we've got ourselves a big road pack game. It's the back third of the year. They say they always remember what you do in November, right? That's that saying. I've heard you say that, I believe.
100%. And that's kind of the mode we're in right now. I mean, opportunities, come and go, but this is another one this week to go ahead and finish a season and kind of put our stamp on 2022.
Our opponent preview segment is formally next segment, but it is Stanford week, so they're 3-5, 1-5 in the pack. We'll get into that. It's a little bit misleading potentially with their record and versus quality of play, etc. But 21-17 to the Utes, a very, very tight ball game that came down to the final moments and final minutes in the fourth quarter. What were your takeaways from that one?
Well, I just think anytime, the margins are so small sometimes, and I think that going into a really good opponent, especially when you get them at home, obviously the surprise of Cam Rising not playing that, we didn't know until, the backup came running out there. And, to have opportunities and to not take advantage of some of those in some specific moments, and there was ebbs and flows of the game, we had an opportunity to win and just couldn't quite get over the hump against a very physical defense. I thought they tackled in space and really out-physicaled in space us at times. But I thought our defense kept swinging and kept us in that ball game and made some plays to get us going, and we just couldn't quite get there.
So Barnes runs out on the field.
Yeah.
We're looking down there. To be honest, I was more concerned with their running back and some of their O-line and the wide receivers. So I call the play. I go Rising back, and Brink the second play goes, that's not Rising.
Yeah.
And I go, wait, that's not Rising. Yeah. And then we're trying to figure out what's going on.
So the kickoff team's aligning, and we look over, and I hear through the headset, Rising has a yellow penny on.
Yeah, right.
And we're like, oh, this could get interesting. Yeah. And then the GA, Max goes, 16's warming up.
Yeah.
Because he was in pads. He went through the whole thing. He finished the week before, so it was a little bit unknown. But credit to them, and I know it was all of a sudden you're in coach mode of like, let's change the plan. We watch this guy. He's more of a runner, make him throw, and you're trying to doing some things on the fly as you're trying to really prepare in that moment. You
ever dealt with something like that before? I mean, there aren't many times that's ever happened before. You've got one of the top QBs in the league just surprisingly not start. They did a little release on Player of the Week that media members vote on, and they noted in there, they didn't tell Barnes he was going until the locker room before the game, like right in the locker room. He didn't know either. So and Rising practiced. So,
yeah, I think it's one of those things. I mean, it has happened before. All of a sudden, a backup or you think a tailback's playing, and one of those type of things, and they switch it up. But that's the game this time of year. I know they came off a really physical tilt, even though they had the bye week. So it must be something that was pretty serious to keep them out. And word is it's serious enough to keep him out of this week's
Is that
game
right?
Too.
Yeah. Well, you hate to hear that, actually.
No question. And I think he's a big competitor, so I know hopefully he'll be back soon.
Really physical game, really close game. A ball game where there were chances, but Utah played well. We knew this would be the tough stretch, or a tough stretch for sure, right? At USC, at Oregon State, and against Utah. 3 really, really good teams, and 2 of them on the road.
Yeah, and I think those are the moments that we've wanted to play in.
Right.
Those are the moments that this team is prepared for. And, to fall up short in a couple of those games, I mean, I know this. Our guys are still hungry to finish, and I think we're going to play a bunch of teams that are in similar positions to us. They want to extend the season. Their seniors have a lot of pride. We want to go to bowl games. That's one of our goals here. And, those are going to be, challenging football games, and we're all in the same situations, and you got to go earn it.
At Stanford, home for Arizona State. At Arizona, home for Washington. Ton of ball left to be played.
Yeah, I mean, that's the exciting part. I mean, and I said this week, I'm more energized than ever, because I'm a big believer in this team. Yes, we haven't quite, been where we can or had some opportunities in those games, but at the end of the day, what's not to love? Keep fighting, keep working, keep getting better. And we've got a lot of guys that are playing really hard, and I thought I saw that, in the Utah game. It was physical. It was 60 minutes, but it was just a little bit short.
All right, we'll take a break. Come back. We'll preview Stanford next. We'll talk to Armani Marsh at some point tonight. He's our special guest.
Unbelievable.
Love Armani. Spokane kid. G-Prep, Bullpup, love it.
Bullpup.
We'll take a break, come back live here at Zeppoz Talking Ball with Coach.
Time to redo this basement?
Yeah. A home gym, movie theater, model train utopia.
Or yoga studio?
I'm flexible-ish.
Great. I'll just use the U.S. Bank mobile app so we can plan it out.
Which way are you leaning? Setting a savings goal or applying for a home improvement loan?
I say we look at both options, right here in the app.
Budget for a really good home gym. We deserve it.
Noted.
Help for today, planning for tomorrow. That's what U.S. Bank is for. U.S. Bank. We'll get there together. Equal housing lender member FDIC.
Want to earn some money this winter? Spokane International Airport is hiring multiple seasonal snow removal equipment operators. These are on-call positions for the upcoming winter season from November 2022 to March 2023. You can earn up to $36 an hour. Some positions require a CDL, and previous experience in operating snow removal equipment is highly preferred. Join our team today. Learn more and apply by visiting SpokaneSnow.com.
Back after this local timeout on the Washington State Sports Network from Learfield.
Carbon monoxide detectors save lives because if kerosene, propane, natural gas, or wood isn't burned properly, dangerous carbon monoxide may result, and it can build up indoors without you knowing, as it's invisible and odorless. So protect yourself by installing UHL-approved carbon monoxide detectors. If carbon monoxide is present, the detector will alert everyone to get out of the house, where you can safely call 911 for help. Avista, we just want you to be safe.
The passion.
He's going to take it to the house. Dinner's cooking. Touchdown.
The fury.
Getting blitzed. Down he goes.
The speed.
To the 50. To the 40. He's gone.
Western college football.
Toward the end zone. Got it for 6 points.
You cannot hitch the wagon. Put the ponies in the barn. Back to the end zone. 30. 20.
This is the College Football Blitz. Listen all season long on College Sports Now on the Varsity Network. Welcome back to the show. Time now to look ahead at this week's game with the Coors Light Opponent Preview. Coors Light, mountain cold refreshment made to chill.
Back at it live here talking ball with Coach Dickert as we get set for Stanford, the Bay Area trip coming up. Cougs 4-4, 1-4 in the pack. Stanford 1-5 in the pack with a 3-5 record. The Cardinal losses are somewhat similar to Washington State's in that quality opponents, ranked opponents. Stanford has lost to USC, at Washington, at Oregon, against the Beavers, and then at the Bruins, all at some point ranked teams, not necessarily when they played them, but the Beavers on the back end, they're now in the top 25. Stanford has 5 good teams they've lost to. It is what they've played a hard schedule, and they've been in a wildly tight game against Oregon State and you know, competitive at times.
I don't know if there's 2 other teams in the country that have lost to 4 current top 25 teams. You know, like both of us have. So I think both of our records can be deceptive, and has been good competition, and they've played those guys in really, really close football games. You know, so. It's one of those things in the country. There's been a lot of competition, and we know the strength of the Pac-12, and it's really showing, and we got to make sure we're finishing.
How about that? These 2 teams have 9 losses, all of them to ranked teams.
Yeah, I know. I think it's
close games.
Very close games.
Yeah.
So, obviously, we talked about it all week that we have a lot of respect for Stanford. We got a lot of respect for Coach Shaw and the longevity of what he's done, and I think this is a good football team, really on both sides of the ball, and very physical at the line of scrimmage.
Coach Caligas crossed over with David Shaw way early in his career.
Yep.
He mentioned that today. David Shaw's tied for 5th all-time Pac wins in history. He's been there a long time, had an incredible stretch for 8 seasons. Last few years have not been to what his standard had been.
He's got a lunch tray as a call sheet. I mean, he's out there. This call sheet is like, I don't even know how you make something that big. It's like a poster board.
Yeah.
So I guess there's a lot of things on there that you got to go through.
Well, and this year, to that point, they're running something called the slow mesh.
Yep.
Can you explain that?
Well, I just think the biggest thing when you think Stanford in your head, and when I started watching the film even from last year, here comes ground and pound, here comes tight ends, fullbacks, here comes under center, and you got to scrap all that. They're 90% 1 tailback, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers, right? So that is mainly what they do with the they run their offense at the same tempo that we do, right? So it's a little bit unique in that way, but Wake Forest made it famous. It's like a draw RPO is kind of how you got to think of it. He'll stand back there and he'll wait, and the tailback doesn't move and the line doesn't move, and he's reading more play action pass, handoff late, versus the true run aggressive RPO fast.
Yeah, let me pause on that for a second here. Snap to the QB, and this is what the slow mesh means. Snap to the QB. He literally holds the ball
and stands there.
Just stands there. The running back has his arms near the ball, and they just stand there.
They do for about 2 seconds.
I
would say 2 seconds. And then, on the RPO, the linemen don't worry about being downfield. They're running the run game. Here it's like a slow pass draw, and they're feeling out space, but they won't go down the field.
The receivers just kind of hang out.
The line.
The line just kind of hangs out.
And then the receivers are running deeper routes.
Right? It gives the receivers more time.
Yes.
And the line just kind of hangs out. This is my first time ever trying to figure out the slow mesh.
And they've done a lot more early, and they've been a little bit less of it. I think teams are attacking it a little bit, and I don't know if it's quite, 18. McKee is a really good player, and he's 6'6", and he's back there so he can see over the lineman and do some of these things, and one of the best touch throwers, I think, is in our league. So it's an interesting scheme with him and their tailbacks, and it's just different. You don't see it very much.
Speaking of their tailbacks, since last year, from last year's roster, they have lost 6.
Yeah.
Two to transfers, 3 to injury, and then 1 just transferred this year. So 2 transferred last year.
Yes.
Point being, Brendan Barrow, beg your pardon, is the only scholarship running back they have currently healthy.
Yes.
Cougs, to some degree, can identify.
Very, very similar, yes.
Against the Utes,
yep.
no doubt. But I may be mistaken. Mitch Ligber is noted as their backup running back. I think he's a converted safety who ran in high school.
Yeah, I think they're going to find a way to do a bunch of different things as we are, and who's going to be back there. And 8's been a returner. Does he still do that? Right. I mean, might be some fair catches in the return game. I mean, there's just some different elements to the game, and same thing. Like, when we get out there, we'll see who's in the jerseys and who's ready to go.
Right. You mentioned Tanner McKee, 6'6", 230, big guy, big QB.
Yeah, NFL guy.
Really high on the NFL draft boards. Has had a fine year, but 11 touchdowns, 7 picks. Their offense hasn't been what Stanford usually is.
Yeah, and I think they're searching a little bit. I think they have 2 touchdowns in the last 3 games after starting off a little bit faster, and so it's the same thing. We got to try to keep them out of rhythm, but it's just like anything else with Stanford. Let's take away the run. Let's force them to pass so we can attack them. I think they're really good at some bookend tackles, but it just hasn't been quite in a flow yet this year.
What was the play that your father wanted you to run, the Pop Warner play?
The crossbuck pass.
Okay, so I feel like Benjamin Jurasik would be someone he'd love to play call for.
Jurasik is really good. I mean, down the pipe, in the middle, right? Easy throw, right?
I got
just choose the seams, right? It's that simple. Offense is that simple.
That's it. You just throw them down the seam.
It's easy.
He had a 45-yarder last year.
If the safety's that way, go that way.
Sounds simple.
Sounds easy. Yeah, I'm with you.
Pretty much.
But I think he's a very versatile player. I think they're using him in different, more spread tight end ways this year to try to get him the football. And I think he's big and long and can do a lot of different things. So a lot like the Kincaid kid from last week, and just like we were last week. And I thought we did a good job against him, being aware of how they're going to create matchups and finding different ways to roll coverage there.
When you see tight end at Stanford, you think like Zach Ertz. Like,
is
this the next guy? Like, they've had so many really good tight ends. And he had a good game against the Cougs last year. And, they've got big receivers on the outside. Elijah Higgins is one of them. Bryson Tremaine, 6'4".
Yeah, I just think they go receiver-wise, and they got a bunch of tall trees. I mean, no pun intended, right, out there. But they're really good in the red zone, and they're very physical. I think the Higgins kid is listed at 234. I mean, looks like a linebacker when he's playing, and really good creatively using his body to create separation. And I know Armani will be ready for that challenge in the slot just like he was last year, but a great combination of size and speed.
It's a big body for Armani to hit. Big target.
It's about speed and positioning. Don't get into those guys' body because naturally they're going to want to push off.
Interesting.
So, just like guarding a tight end, if you're a DB, you want to make sure you're utilizing your feet and speed and almost undercutting them, not allowing them to shield you with the body.
So just keep the gap, keep the space.
Yep.
Interesting. Defensively, Stanford shows what? They go 4-3 generally. I think they also play a nickel sometimes with Jonathan McGill.
Yeah, they'll be 4-2-5 against us. And very similar scheme. They do a little bit more multiple fronts. The difference is this year, the Stanford team has been just kind of the opposite. They've been a little bit shaky against the run. and really good and strong against the pass, and then they're like a top 25 team on third downs. So that's kind of been their calling card. They haven't been generating a lot of takeaways, so they've had to stop a lot of people. But, we got to make sure we're balanced on offense to attack these guys. But very big up front. I think 15 is Heron. He's a good power player. And then everyone knows Kelly, the corner, who I think has NFL talent.
Caillou Blue Kelly's father was a longtime Tampa Buck, 11 years in the NFL. Stanford's Cardinal, you mentioned the tree. The tree is suspended. You should know that. There's no tree.
I did see that on the side report. I didn't actually look at what happened. It sounds bad when your mascot. Has Butch ever gotten suspended?
Not to my knowledge. Okay. That's not Butch's style. But Butch is more of a lover, I think, than when you get suspended.
Too much partying, Butch ever get in trouble? I don't think
Butch gets promoted for that. I don't think that's part of it. That's not really a problem.
I think you're right.
But what Stanford's tree did is he held out a sign that said Stanford hates fun on the field. School didn't like that. It's suspended.
Okay, the tree's done.
Yeah, the tree's done. So you should know there's no tree.
But it's a weird. The Cardinal, or why it's a tree?
Yeah,
the Cardinal.
I do actually. Yeah, they changed their mascot way back, and technically they don't have one.
Okay.
So officially Stanford doesn't have a mascot, and so they've gone with the tree in lieu of a mascot.
I feel like I'm going to win a trivia contest because of this conversation.
Well, we could do a trivia segment. Kyle does, and he bats pretty well.
Yeah.
He bats pretty well.
Yeah.
We get a whole timer. We have music. It's cheesy. It's fan. We could talk about that. Yeah, maybe we could do a whole thing. But we could. We'll see if Kyle. We'll ask him that. Actually, by Kyle, I mean Kyle Smith. Yeah. Which, by the way, we have buckets on Monday. I know you're a huge buckets guy.
Yeah, we were just at the Zoom Mania last night. Just excited and fired up about both our men's and women's team. I think they're going to be tremendous, and I think if you're out there, you got to show up at Beasley. It's going to be a fun environment to be a part of.
Yeah, Monday tip-off. Cougar men, they tip off against Texas State, a really good team from the Sun Belt, San Marcos. Not that we need to talk ball here with you.
No, it's okay.
Monday tip, 4 o'clock airtime, 4:30 tip against the Bobcats. No, it's not a gimme.
I'm a big Muhammad's going to be dunking on people. That's all I know.
That will happen. That will happen.
It's going to happen, and we're going to be shooting some threes and having some fun.
There's going to be a lot of threes, and there's going to be extra fun. We buried the lead on that. Most fun, and then threes.
That's
right.
And then That's right.
Hey, let's take a break. Come back. We've got questions. We got write-ins. We got social media. We'll take a break. Come back. Talking ball here. Cougs and Cardinal live here. Great crowd at Zeppoz.
Saturdays are made for football. And when the game is on, we're finally off. Off duty, offline, out of office. A cracked Coors Light is our do not disturb message to the world. On game day, we don't think about the 9 to 5, but worry about the 4th and 1. So this Saturday, grab a Coors Light, press play on some pigskin, and pause on everything else. Coors Light, mountain cold refreshment, made to chill. Proud partner of Cougar Athletics. 2021 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Spokane loves sports. We get that. So we built the ultimate sports experience right here at Northern Quest. Epic Sports Bar puts you in the game with a 10 by 30 foot HD TV while satisfying your game day appetite with all your favorite food and drinks. And for even more action, Turf Club Sportsbook is just steps away for real sports wagering. So grab your big foam finger and come see Spokane's next sports dynasty. Northern Quest. Yes, the best.
Cougar football.
Rolling right with the ball, going to throw the long ball down the middle, man over.
Watch the end zone, leaping grab, touchdown, and the Palouse is going to pop.
Cougar football from Learfield. Cougar football lives here.
He is crushed by Henley, loss of one of the plays. Leaping grab, touchdown, Renard Bell into the top 10 in Washington State history.
On Saturday, the Cougs open November with a trip to the farm to battle Stanford.
Francisco Malingoa takes the lid off this play.
Kickoff is at 12:30.
100 yards.
It's all on your home for Cougar football. The Washington State Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, Coug fans! Can't decide what to do with your late-night weekends? Why not Cosmic Bowling? Every Friday and Saturday night from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. is Cosmic Bowling at Zeppoz. At a price designed with everyone in mind, we are your destination for music, disco lights, and of course, bowling. Can't join us on the weekends? Zeppoz is the place to be for all ages every day of the week. With bowling, food, and drink specials, we offer prices that won't break the budget. You can even reserve your lane in advance with online reservations at Zeppoz.com. When looking for fun in Pullman, look no further than Zeppoz.
This is the U.S. Bank Cougar Coaches Show.
Somersaults in, football first touchdown.
U.S. Bank, life keeps moving. We're here for every step. U.S. Bank, member FDIC. Here's Matt Chazanow.
Back here live talking ball with Coach Dickert. It's the Cougs against the Cardinal. It's a 12:30 kick on the farm. That's the ideal
Let's
situation.
Wake up, let's play ball, and this is what it's about.
I think 50-50 rain situation.
Yeah, just kind of creeped in there a little bit.
I think so.
We'll be ready.
You've got a little bit of cloud cover, about 55 degrees, a little bit of rain.
Yep.
Shouldn't affect much.
No, we went inside a little bit this week. I mean, get in the bubble, get ready for the elements. Go on our bubble turfs a little bit looser than our other turfs. Get ready for the grass. I mean, all those type of things.
Interesting. Yeah,
there's a lot to it.
Yeah, there is a lot to it. That's right.
Yeah.
Grass surface.
Yeah,
a little bit different. All right. First question.
Okay.
Some write-ins here. Can you settle an argument? This is. I feel like you're getting.
I don't win any against my wife. So
well, you might be in trouble here. Yeah, you might be in big trouble. At what level, from Pop Warner to the pros, does winning become more important than fun?
Oh man, definitely not at the Pop Warner level. Definitely not at middle school. I think Hey, you got to have fun when you play. You got to have fun when you practice. You have to have fun with the process. So I think fun to me is always a part of it. And when it turns into like work or a job or like something where you're not enjoying, because I always tell our guys, there's sometimes you need to put in the work and you need to surrender the outcome, right? Because otherwise that's going to make you uptight and tense. And because you got to realize sometimes work is going to be so hard, you're never always going to get what you want.
I like that. Put in the work and surrender the outcome. That's a life thing. That's not just football, though.
No, it is. It is, because otherwise, if you're always outcome-based, you're always disappointed. And, but I think at the end of the day, when we get to our level, there's a certain pressure to it. We accept it. We understand it. Pressure is a privilege. We talked about that on this show. And, and I know we're about winning. But if you're not having fun and, let's even like Friday nights, I told you we do those, we're reading our book and we're doing some things like that, but we'll have competitions and we'll just a whole bunch of things that keep it loose and energized, because I think when you make it too tight, guys get nervous. And so I don't think I settled that, and I don't want to go one side or the other, but I think at the end of the day, high school, when you're winning is fun. Let's put it that way.
Sure. And that's a hard way to phrase it. At what level does winning become more important than fun? The fun's always part of it.
I don't think
Maybe
it
never
does. Yeah. It never does. It's hand in hand. But I know winning's fun.
That's probably, if we're watching an NFL game right now on here at Zeppoz, they've got the Eagles and the Texans. If you're not having fun, I mean, I know they're paid, I know they're pros, but at some point, if they're not fun, retirement comes sooner rather than later.
I would agree. When you walk out on that field and you almost don't get chills, and you walk out of that stadium or run out of that tunnel and you're not feeling the excitement, it's time to do something else.
Speaking of which, I got to ask, the pregame routine, the warm-up routine for you. You run out, you get the stretches in, you run it. It looks like you can't. You have to. It looks mandatory because there's too much juice.
Yeah, and I do it before every practice, so it isn't something that I got to go through this little stretch routine, feel good. Yeah. And I don't want to be that guy that pulls a hamstring out of the tunnel either.
No, you
That's a bad look.
Oh, it's
go down, get trampled. I'm in the smoke. Nobody sees me. I mean, this could go terribly wrong.
So you got to keep it at that level at least. The run out for the team level of fitness.
Yes, I don't want to be that guy.
No.
You'd be a meme. You'd be all sorts of bad things in this world.
Oh, that's an all-timer.
I'd be a Coug legend though if that did happen.
Coug legend for the wrong reasons. You got the pyrotechnics and the steam, and then Coach Dickert face plants, and the team tramples him. That's not good. Yeah. No, that's good. Is there a type of personality or attitude that you look for in recruiting?
Ooh, one of the biggest things I know I love and we look for is multiple sports, and I know that's something that's kind of waning in our world. And I know that's
is that waning? Is it going away? Kids are specializing?
Yeah, especially you go down to like Texas. I think California is starting to get there, and I think you're losing that small town. And we got a couple kids that we're recruiting now that is like, hey, Coach, when I'm done with my football season, I got a week, till basketball, and then I go into, track and all that stuff. The other thing I look for is just talking to the coach. I want them to be a high school captain. I think those traits are really, really important. I look at their academics, because when you're willing to do stuff off the field, it's amazing how it correlates on the field. And, I always love, another big thing for me is how do you treat your parents, right? How do you treat your mom? How do you treat your dad? How do you respond to coaching? And when we go watch guys live, it's more about intangibles. When they make a mistake, what's their body language? How do they interact with teammates? Do they lift people up around them? So those are some of the traits that we're really looking for in recruiting. That's a great question.
That is a great question. Interesting. For the past few years, we're going to Twitter now for a question, Jennifer Delzer. For the past few years, WSU has had place kickers that specialize in either kickoffs or field goals slash PAT. Do each of the kickers work on the other aspects? And then do you have a preference for having kickers specialize or one guy do it all? What goes into that?
I think generally you would love to have one guy do it all, but I think to have a backup, and if we ever had to say we had to line up to win a game to kick a 60-yarder, we might put Theke out there and try to, because he's just got a little bit stronger leg, and Dean has the accuracy, and it's good to have a little bit of competition too. Each guy wants to do both. That's okay. They accept both of their roles, and but yeah, I think on a team generally you have two guys that can really do it, and they push each other. But to have the kickoff, it's a little less swing on Dean constantly trying to overexert, and that's when injuries can happen too.
Interesting. Yeah, Theker's got big leg.
He does.
Big leg.
He does. Yes.
Not to be taken for granted. Because as we've been prepping for some of these games, not every team has a kicker that can do what he does.
It's amazing the numbers. I think he's 75% touchback throughout the season, and I think he's been really, really good. And as a defensive coach and growing up on that side of the ball, your biggest friend is that guy kicking the ball on that touchback, and we know that ball's at the 25.
We know what's going to happen here. Yep. Yeah. Mark B. asks, Coach, Lincoln Victor had some pretty impressive rushing yards as a QB in high school. When might we see Cam split out and Lincoln Victor in the Wildcat, either the double pass to Cam or somewhere in the blah, 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 Mark from Riverside. So,
well, Mark, I appreciate you. I don't want to give Coach Shaw any advantages, but I'll take those notes and we'll kind of go back to the drawing board a little bit.
I love it.
Yep.
Coug for life. You know what he is? He's tuned in to Washington State high school football.
Well, he's very true, though. Like, Lincoln can throw the ball.
Right.
Like, I've seen him even just messing around. He'll just be out there and like, bloop, and you're like, whoa.
Yep.
And then he's been a runner. I mean, he's a great athlete that's done a lot of things.
He's returning kicks for a good reason. And, he actually had a big game against Stanford last year, receiving the ball. And so, no doubt. Coug for life asks, does Stanford pump in crowd noise during their games? I don't think you've ever been there before.
I have not been there, but, talking to opponents is very quiet.
Yeah, I have never heard that in my headset.
Yeah, I had someone tell me this week that they've been at a game at Stanford and they saw people reading books during the game.
I saw it reading the newspaper.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I saw that. Personally
saw
that. Yeah, I pointed it to my analyst. I think it was Brinker at the time.
Okay.
I said, AB, that gentleman is reading a newspaper.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a true story. Yeah.
It's funny. Like, you kind of see the crowd and you see some of those deals, but we would love a little energy. It's good.
No, look, Stanford has had incredibly high-quality football. Yep. There's no doubt about it. In terms of atmospheres, at times, theirs isn't the spot for that kind of raucous energy. They've been really, really good. It's a beautiful stadium.
We talked about this week. It's called Bring Your Own Juice Week. Right? You got to bring your own energy. It's time. You're not going to get it from the state. Sometimes when you go on the road, you guys get really amped up because student sections are yelling at them and they boo you when you come out and you're like, here we go.
Yeah, Madison.
You're just not quite going to get that this week, and it'll be okay. We'll be ready.
In fairness, I believe that game, I think the Cougs were crushing Stanford that game, the newspaper game that I'm remembering.
Okay.
It was like late second half, and Craycraft had a big
that
game.
memory.
Cougs were blast. It was like, it was a hammer time.
Okay.
I forget. Craycraft had a monster game. I forget this, but I think that's where that comes from.
Okay.
I didn't do the prep on the newspaper game.
It's okay.
ID Cougs wants to know, Coach, which one of our D line do you see getting a scoop and score first? Who's the D lineman that gets the scoop? Is it RJ? Maybe RJ or maybe Ram Stevenson.
Yeah,
he's got some wheels, right?
He does have some wheels. Either way, I would love one. I love the vision. Yes. I love the opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with whoever it is. I'm going to celebrate the heck out of it because that's going to be a big play that we need.
I think that's a great call. Yeah. Peter, we got a late entrant here. Peter wants to know, what's your game day breakfast? Do you have we've talked about this, I think.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm pretty light on game day. Like I said, I even had a ref the other day say, hey, Coach, even in these timeouts, you're tearing up this turf.
The ref told you?
Yeah, because I'm a back and forth pacer. That's how I think. I'm an active thinker. And, keep it light. Little eggs. And the Best Western over there has the best bacon. You can't go wrong.
Is that right? Is that the spot?
Yeah.
Crispy, I assume.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, you don't want that soggy.
Because every once in a while, my wife, Candace, gets me some turkey bacon. That's illegal. And it's not good.
I don't think she heard you.
No, we're good for that.
Well, in the break, I'll make sure to tell
it should be illegal out there. I mean, you're going to eat bacon, just eat the bacon.
Just do it.
Just go all the way.
Hey, we're going to talk to Armani Marsh here in just a moment, but we'll take a break and come back. We're live here at Zeppoz talking ball with Coach Dickert.
This Cougar football tailgating moment is brought to you by Canoe Ridge Vineyards, proud partner of Washington State University Athletics. for this week's football matchup against Stanford. Smart Cougar tailgaters know to pair award-winning Canoe Ridge wines with a crowd-pleasing pregame meal. Your mealtime roster will score big points with Canoe Ridge wines backing it up. Canoe Ridge Vineyards, representing the best of award-winning Washington wines with more than 85 critical scores of 90-plus points. Visit them at their Walla Walla tasting room or at canoeridgevineyard.com. Go Cougs!
Running a business is a lot of work. Luckily, I've got a great partner.
Oh, I think you...
I meant U.S. Bank.
I knew that.
U.S. Bank Business Essentials is a huge help to us.
Totally. Their comprehensive point-of-sale system does it all. Tracks inventory, manages schedules, customizes orders.
Plus all the regular banking stuff.
If only it could make coffee.
Nah, that's your job.
From point of sale to quick loans, we have many ways to make your business boom. That's what U.S. Bank is for. U.S. Bank. We'll get there together. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
This is the Washington State Sports Network from Learfield.
Another season of women's and men's college sports is underway. Follow your alma mater or favorite team in their pursuit of the prestigious Learfield Directors Cup at L Directors Cup on Twitter and online at thedirectorscup.com. Trophies will be awarded in June 2023 to the winning institutions in all competitive divisions. Learfield Directors Cup, the crowning achievement in college athletics.
Want to earn some money this winter? Spokane International Airport is hiring multiple seasonal snow removal equipment operators. These are on-call positions for the upcoming winter season from November 2022 to March 2023. You can earn up to $36 an hour. Some positions require a CDL, and previous experience in operating snow removal equipment is highly preferred. Join our team today. Learn more and apply by visiting SpokaneSnow.com.
Back here live talking ball with Armani Marsh, our special guest, all-pack Nickelback here for the Cougs as Washington State takes on Stanford. Armani, big picture, you and I have had this discussion before, but you're a veteran now, right? You're a redshirt senior, a Spokane kid. It's the clock's winding down on the career, which probably feels bizarre to some degree. But as a Spokane kid, to be able to be here and come back and say all-pack Nickelback, Armani Marsh for the Cougs. I mean, it must be really cool.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
Would you have imagined it have gone as well? Was this the vision? Like, this? I would think this is how you were hoping this would all go.
Absolutely. When I first, decided to come to WSU, this was definitely the vision and the plan that, I wanted to have and I wanted to try to achieve. And so I just worked my butt off and gave it all I got, hoping, it'd come true.
When did you know that you had what it takes? Was there a moment of validation? Was there play in practice? Were you going up against an all-pack receiver? Were you in a game where you made a play against a guy and you said, well, hey, hang on now, if I can do that, then I've got the barometer. I know I've got what it takes.
Yeah, I'd definitely say my freshman year, when I was redshirting, I was on scout team, so I think Luke Falk was at quarterback. Yeah. We had Tay was a wide receiver. Who else? We had like 4 NFL wide receivers.
Gabe Marks maybe was on the team. Was it after Gabe?
Yeah, it was after Gabe.
So was it, we could have Arcanado. You went up against Brandon for sure. Arco. Yeah, Arco for sure.
Dez.
Yeah, Dez Patman, no doubt. Yeah.
But it was just like every day in practice, working my craft, being able to go against, some of the best, if not the best wide receivers in the Pac-12 and who obviously went off to play in the NFL. Just every day working my craft, being able to go against them and, I was just like, okay, I could really, play at this level if I work at it.
Aesop was one of them?
Aesop, yep.
Yeah, he would have been. Who was the toughest cover for you? Is it the big guys? Is it the quick guys? Is it the guys who are really precise with their routes? Like, what's the guy you go, oh, this guy's going to be trouble?
I would definitely say the guys who are deceiving and quick with their routes, but also have speed as well. I would say Aesop's probably the best wide receiver I've ever had to guard.
Aesop was?
Yeah, definitely.
Big hands.
Absolutely. Catches everything.
Yeah.
And just his releases, it all looks the same, whether he's running a slant, whether he's running a fade, everything.
It feels like that, as much as anything, is part of success at this level, is not only are you good at it, but you disguise it at the snap. Whatever it is, whether it's an offensive player or a defensive player, that's the whole game now, right? Like, it's not just be good. As when you're a G-Prep bullpup, you could probably just be good. I would guess,
Yeah.
right? But now it's you need to disguise what's coming. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a big part of playing at this level is just being able to disguise and not give away, what you're doing.
Now give the pitch to Spokane football players. Give the recruiting pitch. Bring the best Spokane football players into the Crimson and Gray.
If you want to be your best and come help win a conference championship, come to Wazoo. I mean, it's right down the road. You're playing at home. You're around your family. There's no better environment than, to play for the Cougs in front of this city and just be a Coug in general.
I know you've had a great time doing it. I know I've talked to your parents about it, too. It's been great to meet them. It's really, really been fun. What does Stanford show you? This is a hard game. You're going on the road. It's never easy to go on the road at all anyway, but this is one of those tight end teams, and the slow mesh, a little bit different, right? You've had to kind of prep for something different. What has Stanford shown you? What have the coaches talked to you about?
Yeah, they're a great team. There's a lot of things they could do. Like I said, the RPO game, the slow mesh, but they can also, spread out and have a vertical passing game. They like to take shots down the field and just all that type of stuff. So, they're really good. I think they're going to run the ball or pass the ball versus us more than run the ball or what they've done in the past. So, they're good at what they do.
Yeah, that's kind of the funny thing about them. They've changed the way they've played. I mean, it used to be they run the ball a ton. Now they're passing the ball a ton.
Right.
Davis Mills now into Tanner McKee.
Yep.
I mean, they throw the ball a lot, which changes your job drastically.
Right.
You're the guy. Are you in the box? No, you're going to have to back up, probably defend. Pretty big wide receiver group, right?
Yeah. All the wide receivers are big bodies. They're big dudes that can go and get the ball and also make plays in space. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, you're a guy who likes to hit, but also as the nickel's no longer what the nickel used to be. Your position is now jack of all trades type deal.
Yeah.
Right? You got to go everywhere and do everything.
Right.
It's been really fun to watch you. It's really been fun. It's fun to have you on here.
Thank you.
Armani Marsh, Nickelback for the Cougs. All pack Nickelback as we get set for Stanford. We'll cut you loose. We'll take a break. Come back talking ball here with Coach live at Zeppoz.
Hey, Coug fans! Can't decide what to do with your late-night weekends? Why not Cosmic Bowling? Every Friday and Saturday night from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. is Cosmic Bowling at Zeppoz. At a price designed with everyone in mind, we are your destination for music, disco lights, and, of course, bowling. Can't join us on the weekends? Zeppoz is the place to be for all ages every day of the week. With bowling, food, and drink specials, we offer prices that won't break the budget. You can even reserve your lane in advance with online reservations at Zeppoz.com. When looking for fun in Pullman, look no further than Zeppoz.
Saturdays are made for football, and when the game is on, we're finally off. Off duty, offline, out of office. A cracked Coors Light is our do not disturb message to the world. On game day, we don't think about the 9 to 5, but worry about the 4th and 1. So this Saturday, grab a Coors Light, press play on some pigskin, and pause on everything else. Coors Light, mountain cold refreshment, made to chill. Proud partner of Cougar Athletics. 2021 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
This is Drew Bledsoe, and you're listening to Cougar Football.
Bledsoe calls his play, has the ball, throws a home run ball from the end zone to Bobo. Touchdown, Washington State!
On the Washington State Sports Network.
This is Cougar basketball.
Gives it to Yaki, right wing. Wants that tie. Has the tie. On the run out, one-on-one. Euro step, lays it in on the steal.
Kyle Smith and the Cougs tip off the season next Monday when they play host to Texas State.
Jake pump fake, drives in, dunks it down, an exclamation point. Finds his buddy Rodman. He steps into a three and has his third.
It's only on your home for Cougar basketball, the Washington State Sports Network from Learfield.
You already know that free Camus Rewards let you earn and redeem points everywhere at Northern Quest. But did you know that everywhere includes the all-new East Pan Asian cuisine and Neon Pizza? Plus, you'll enjoy our new weekday happy hour from 3 to 6 p.m. You'll even save 10 cents a gallon at our Kalispell Chevrons. And new Camus Rewards members can win up to $2,022 in reward play instantly. Only at Northern Quest. Yes, the best.
You're live at Zeppoz talking ball with Coach Dickert. It was great to have Armani Marsh on the show. Spokane kid. It's always fun to have a Spokane
He's
Coug.
just an unbelievable player to have, local, his story. I mean, from the walk-on to a 2-time team captain. And he just has so much respect. And just when you hear him talk, he's going to be so successful in life. And that's what, at the end of the day, I know I'm judged on a lot of things, but I want to create and put out great men in this world, and I think Armani's going to be one of them.
I think he is on the Burlsworth watch list, which is the top former walk-on in America. It's a prestigious award. Luke Falk was up for it, came in second to Baker Mayfield, I think, twice.
Yeah, I had Marcus Epps when I was at Wyoming. I think he took third. Great honor. I mean, there's a lot of belief that those kids need to have in themselves, and I think the one thing I know about Armani is he believes in his talent. More importantly, he believes in his work ethic, and he's never seen a detail too small, and that's, when your best players are also your hardest workers, I mean, there's just such magic in that, and that's what Armani embodies.
I didn't realize how much weight he'd put on, good weight, in college, which is way easier said than done, but you said he's 30, maybe 40 pounds.
Yeah, and I would have to ask him the exact weight he came out. I think me and him weighed the same when I was in middle school when he came out as a senior, but even since the last 3 years I've been here, I've seen him put on 20 pounds, and the best part is as he's been adding weight, he's gotten faster, he's gotten more agile, but bottom line is he's like a little pit bull.
Yeah.
A lot of times in the 4-2-5, when you go against a Utah, you take that nickel off the field, we leave him out there.
Yeah.
And sometimes you go 4-3 against those teams. He just gives us some flexibility, and we're like, he's too valuable to ever take off the field. So why would we do that?
Means he can hit, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
He scraps now. I'm just telling you. You just see him against these 6'6" tight ends, and you're like, put him in there.
What's your vision for a nickelback like that? Is it to make the tackle himself, or is it to stop and stop the momentum and then get help?
I think the biggest thing about a nickel, not just being physical, but the difference between corner and nickel is a guy that can move laterally really, really quick. Right? At corners, you need to be long and linear. You need to be able to run fast. And not that Armani's not fast, but you need to cover up. There's way more space to cover inside than there is outside because you have the sideline boundary. Yeah, and I think you got to be a great angle tackler, right? So as we're coming in on these big bodies, you need to know how to take them at what angle and make sure and we just talk about getting a leg. Anytime you get a leg, people are going down.
Tackling has been sure this year. I can't recall many missed tackles.
Very, very positive.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But we've emphasized it a lot, and I think we also got some good experienced athletes that are out there, playing and running their angles, and it was the number one thing. When I went to my first CAF events when I got here, and everyone has advice for you. It's okay. I love listening to everyone's advice.
Yeah.
But it was, Coach, you got to solve our tackling. You got to solve our tackling. We got to tackle better. And I think it's been a slow build to get to this point, and not perfect by any means, but I think we've done a really solid job of that.
Is that a mentality? But it can't just be that. I mean, there's a physical element to it.
Well, there's an athleticism piece.
Yeah, there's something you're coaching. There's something you're doing to develop guys in the weight room. There's something going on. How do you develop that?
And I think there's a tackling plan. We talk about having a tackling plan for how we're going to tackle each back, because even last week, you tackle 3, the big physical kid.
Jaquindon Jackson.
Yeah, we're different than you tackle number 2 or an athletic space guy. So it's rapid. It's more about the approach and angles, right? More than the physicality of it in today's game because you're in space. And you got to be able to take away the space and be confident enough in your angle of approach. So our guys have done a really good job of it so far.
Brings to mind shelving criticism of the call. Brennan Jackson's targeting situation. What's he supposed to do? What's the what do you coach? What do you do?
Yeah, I just think there are times that, this is not a perfect rule. And I think targeting was invented, Chaz, so the Chuck Cecils of the world that are spearing receivers with and I might have dated myself.
No, I sent Brink and Jess on our text thread after the game. I said, here's 90 seconds of targeting, and it's Chuck Cecil's career highlights from the Packers.
And he's got a bloody nose from his helmet coming down, but that is what it was really meant to do. Yeah. And we're seeing some repercussions from Grant Stevens of a negative way in the targeting. Brennan Jackson, at the end of the day, we wouldn't coach him any different. He was in a knee-bent position. The running back
is tall.
The running back ran very upright.
Right, that's what Brink said too.
But you look later on him going at Jay Lee, he went very down. So BJ was in a good position. It's a reactionary play that's not the intent of the targeting rule.
Right.
I just don't think it is, and I'm not a big fan of kicking those guys out of the game.
It's punitive.
I'm just not. So at the end of the day, you'd love to see him slide his head just slightly, but he was on him really, really fast. And at the end of the day, I talked to BJ and said, hey, man, you got to play the game fast and aggressive. And unfortunately, this is the world we live in now with this game.
So in that context, basically all he really could have done maybe is
he would love him to slide his head. But, he even talked about he was ready for that guy to go down low on him and him to keep bending. And it was a bang-bang play. And it was a big third down stop. So unfortunately it was a big moment in the game.
Oh, it was a huge moment in the game. It went from third down, made it a fourth down. Instead, they got the timeout back and put 28 seconds on it, put them on the 2-yard line.
And it was these we're talking about the margins of victory. Our defense, after we didn't get it on the fourth down on offense, they got the stop. The ball hits us on the punt, right? Unfortunate moment. They essentially get the stop, right, to hold them to a field goal attempt, and then that you have a play. So we've had a lot of interesting situations. I mean, that one came after a timeout. It wasn't called on the field. It's called from the new booth, and, just been some interesting situations in that realm.
Yeah, it's been we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, but it's definitely not the spirit of the targeting rule, and our game is safer. And I think even at youth levels, we're coaching it and teaching tackling and making the game safer on such a better level. But I think those are things they need to continue to look at.
Right. In totality, the whole deal is a positive. Is what you're saying.
I'm just saying, we've had two targeting moments in the core, and I don't actually think it's hard to target someone in that time.
Right.
And I don't think he led with the head. That's the way it looked on review, and they're emphasizing the crown of the helmet, and that is where the contact was made.
Head to Chipman & Taylor's website for your chance to enter to win Coug football season tickets and Coug swag for next season. Chipman & Taylor Chevrolet is located on Bishop Boulevard in Pullman, your hometown Chevy dealer where everybody gets a great deal. We're up against it. We'll take a break, come back. We'll put the final segment, put a ball on it next, live here from Zeppoz.
When you set up a savings goal with U.S. Bank, it grows with you. There's no limit to what you can crochet. Can do. Doesn't have to be crocheting, but it totally could be. Like the headphones you're listening to this ad with, you could totally crochet those. There's no telling where your savings goal will take you. Maybe you'll save enough for yarn to crochet your house or the whole town. Oh, right. Doesn't have to be crochet related.
Set up savings goals on the U.S. Bank mobile app, even for the wildest of dreams. U.S. Bank. We'll get there together. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Want to earn some money this winter? Spokane International Airport is hiring multiple seasonal snow removal equipment operators. These are on-call positions for the upcoming winter season from November 2022 to March 2023. You can earn up to $36 an hour. Some positions require a CDL, and previous experience in operating snow removal equipment is highly preferred. Join our team today. Learn more and apply by visiting SpokaneSnow.com.
Back after this local timeout on the Washington State Sports Network from Learfield.
This Cougar football tailgating moment is brought to you by Canoe Ridge Vineyards, proud partner of Washington State University Athletics. For this week's football matchup against Stanford, smart Cougar tailgaters know to pair award-winning Canoe Ridge wines with a crowd-pleasing pregame meal. Your mealtime roster will score big points with Canoe Ridge wines backing it up. Canoe Ridge Vineyards, representing the best of award-winning Washington wines with more than 85 critical scores of 90-plus points. Visit them at their Walla Walla tasting room or at canoeridgevineyard.com. Go Cougs!
Saturdays are made for football, and when the game is on, we're finally off. Off duty, offline, out of office. A cracked Coors Light is our do not disturb message to the world. On game day, we don't think about the 9 to 5, but worry about the 4th and 1. So this Saturday, grab a Coors Light, press play on some pigskin, and pause on everything else. Coors Light, mountain cold refreshments, made to chill. Proud partner of Cougar Athletics. 2021 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Back here live at Zeppoz, talking ball with Coach Dickert. Final segment here as we've got the Cougs going to the Bay Area to take on Stanford. Earn your bragging rights at Northern Quest with more slot machines, table games, restaurants, lounges, and luxury hotel rooms than anyone else in the region. Northern Quest, yes, the best. More at northernquest.com. It's that position group segment.
Yeah, where are we going this week?
We're going QBs.
QBs.
Let's go QBs. Let's go with the spot that everybody loves to talk about.
Oh, they do.
Is the quarterback spot. Yeah. Cameron Ward, and we're not only going to talk about Cameron Ward. I want to talk about John Mateer. I want to talk about Xavier Ward. I want to talk about the room because they all affect each other more so than I think fans realize, actually. And that's been an insightful thing that Brinker has brought me behind the curtain on. How those guys interact constantly. They're always studying film together. They talk to each other. They talk about, I don't know about on game days necessarily. Sometimes they're warming up solo, but that's a huge element. It's like, what's the QB room like?
Brink's 100% right. Yeah. And these guys end up being lifelong friends because they spend so much time together. And it's amazing when you have a really good room, they understand, man, is it a competition? It's a competition like any other, but at the end of the day, what'd you see? Where are we going? Here's this and that. And I think even on game days, hey, what'd you see from the sideline? What are we talking about? What was your read there? Because, you just always have to be ready for that moment. So it's definitely a unique relationship. And, obviously Cam, has done a good job this year. And I think he's constantly working to get better, constantly wanting to improve, constantly understanding that we're both under the microscope and that's okay. And we want to continue to get better. And he needs to lead us and grow. But I think there is a lot of signs that we're going to get better and better with him out there.
Well, like you said, pressure is a privilege.
Pressure is a privilege. That's the number one deal that we've talked about. And, I tell him in our meeting, there's the two most scrutinized people in our program will always be me and him. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. And we accept it and we love it. And it's part of wanting this bigger scene and this bigger place too. But he's got all the tools. We need to refine those tools. I'm excited about that process and what that means over time. But I know all the scouts and the Seahawks GM was there last week. I mean, they see the big arm and the tools and the abilities that he has.
I thought it interesting just getting prepped for this game a little bit, doing some of the number crunching. He's never had more than 2 picks in a game for the Cougs, which is great. He has had 1 total the last 3 weeks.
Yes.
And you and I talked about that earlier on in the year.
And that was a big, so then I always go back to, okay, is he playing too tight?
Right.
So, like I said, there's that magic that we constantly talk about of, in that moment, you pull the trigger.
Yeah.
You go out there and do it, and we'll live with the consequences because I know there's a lot of hard work behind it.
Yeah, there are wow plays and wow throws sometimes, though.
Yes.
I mean, special Sunday-level stuff. Like, there's no doubt.
100%. And when you see him on a daily basis, I think it's important because then you know what he's capable of doing and the hard work he's putting in behind the scenes.
How different do you think it has been from West Columbia, Texas to Incarnate Word to now Washington
It's been a
State?
journey. I think that's the biggest thing people don't realize. I mean, it's a journey, and it's still developing, and he's still learning the game, and he's still getting better in a lot of areas. And I think, more importantly, as a coach, that's what makes you excited. Like we can get them better. We need to get his feet and his arm in sync and in alignment, and that ball's going to fly out even more. So I think he did his best job of settling in the pocket and stepping up, right, and taking off on some runs. And I think you saw some of his running ability.
Yeah. John Mateer, 6'1", 205 freshman, Little Elm, Texas.
True freshman.
And
I think that we love John. And John was one of those multi-sport guys. I mean, when we got him, he really only had probably like FCS offers and those low-level group of fives. And just love his progress. And I know we talked about it on here. He's the guy that throws without the laces. It throws me off.
He does?
He throws without the laces.
So when he gets the ball, he gets the snap, he's just ready to roll. He prefers not to have the laces.
Is that right? The laces throw him off. So I think that's a odd thing.
It is
being
odd,
an old quarterback myself, I'm like, John, this is a little odd. But
what is it? So did you talk to him about it? How'd that conversation go?
I said,
hey, what are you doing?
I said, maybe work this grip. Here you go. But he's like, no, Coach, I don't deal with the laces.
Interesting.
So that's a different thing. And but a baseball player, and you watch John. John sometimes when I watch him looks like a linebacker.
Yeah.
Like he's big and he's physical and he's still growing. And so we get to this time next year, he's a quick trigger. I mean, he can get the ball out. He's got great arm strength, great decision maker. And he was a guy that I was spending late in fall camp. I look out, I'm like, who's on the field? It's 11 o'clock.
Huh.
There's John Mateer going through reads and hands and this thing, like going through a script of what he was going to do and how he's going to call it and fake signaling it to the wide receivers. There's no one else on the field.
Huh.
It was incredible. And I'm like, that's when those moments you're like, we got a guy.
Yeah.
And he's so dedicated to it and just excited about his growth. And but more of like that Caleb Williams-ish, without putting pressure on John,
sure.
But strong runner, guy is going to get out of the pocket, and we will have a designed run game, some for John, when he gets his turn.
There is something about his 6'1", 205, as it's listed. I don't know where it stands right now.
205.
Seems bigger than 205.
I would agree with you.
But He is a hard, heavy runner. I mean, he's not Coletto, right? But it's more in that spirit. Like, he runs heavy like that.
100%. And I think, like I said, it's evolving, and John is different from Cam, and I think that's the way we want to recruit the quarterback position is not one is always the same. Some people think, oh, no, you always want one guy. No, let's have guys that are multiple, some guys that can stretch the pocket, some guys are just pocket guys. Let's give ourselves a variance, and then let's use them in our offense.
What's your in-game relationship like with the QB? And then, Eric Morris was down on the field, right?
Yeah, we made a change to bring Eric down, and I think it was a positive thing, and it was just kind of a whole leadership thing, but more of a connection with Cam. So biggest things I always kind of ask is, what are you seeing? It isn't just me telling it to him, like, why do we do those things? What are we seeing? What do we need to get better? I'm always saying, hey, just some leadership things. Like, hey, go touch this guy. Go tell him you're coming to him next series. Like, let's pick the O-line up. There's just a lot of little things that I'm trying to do within that series to make sure that, we're correcting the mistakes. We're adjusting to what they're doing, but also building that side of the football up.
How much do you talk to Eric down on the field now, last game, Eric Morris? Or is it just kind of separate? And
it's always kind of the same. I think the biggest thing is after a series, right, before I click over the defense and keep working, hey, what's your thoughts here? What about getting to this? And kind of working through what are your thoughts? What do we need to adjust? What are we going to get to? What's the next series look like? And, hey, get them settled down. Talk about this. I mean, there's just some quick things and moments before we flip over to the other side and start focusing on what the defense needs to do.
Stepping up in the pocket there, as Ward has done more of late, he also has a couple rush TDs this year, right? Yep. One of them was last game against the Utes. He had that run against the Ducks. He's figured out maybe how to find that little sliver there.
Yeah, and I think he's done a good job. That was an example of where he saw coverage. Everyone was wide. He checked to the draw play, and that's him on the field calling that off of a play. So I just think those are impressive things that Cam brings to the table.
Thank you, Coach.
Always.
Time, as always.
Let's go get it.
All right, now, thanks to Jared Pranguber, Jared Kylo gets us on the air, Luke Hallett back in the U.S. Bank Network studios, everybody here at Zeppoz. It's really great to see you, all those who participated with questions and write-ins, Twitter, thank you. It's a 10:30 airtime, a 12:30 kick. The Cougs at the Cardinal coming up on Saturday.